Hiya, welcome to my Compound Life. I'm your host, Jonathan. This is a channel where we build assets, we build habits, and of course, we build freedom that should really be financial freedom, time freedom for you, me, and anyone else that watches my channel. So please do hit the like, hit subscribe. Even if you don't really like my content, just hit the like anyway and hit subscribe because I'm a small content creator. Any kind of support that you guys can give me can really help me to grow my channel. So please do so. Thank you. Today, what I want to talk about is a topic, an interesting topic. Is it too late to buy Bitcoin if you're in the age of 50 or 50 plus? Okay. So let me answer this carefully because this question deserves an honest answer. Okay, but spoiler alert, no, it's not too late to buy Bitcoin if you're in your 50s or 50 plus. Okay. However, what I want to caveat is Bitcoin is also not a miracle cure. And it's definitely not something you should rely on blindly. So let's talk reality, numbers, and expectation. Okay, so first off, I don't know anyone's financial situation, right? I don't know how much you earn, how much you save, whether you still have a lot of debts. Could be credit card debts, could be your mortgages, car loans, whatever, right? Or how long you can keep on working. So I'm not here to sell you hope. If you're in the 50s that's watching my video, which I know there could be quite a few viewers that are in that age bracket or about to touch 50s, because I do also know that there's a huge amount of my viewers that are between the age 35 to 45. So if you guys in your 50s or in that age range, about to think about retirement and have no savings and are hoping Bitcoin will suddenly rescue your retirement, guys, apology, that's not realistic and that's dangerous thinking. But doing nothing is also dangerous. Okay, so yeah, I think let's break it down. So let's start with income, real world numbers. Okay, so let's talk about normal salaries. Okay, not internet salaries, right? Normal people salaries, right? So I want to be as realistic as possible. Okay, so in the UK, the median salary is about £35,000 a year. Okay, so after tax and national insurance, I think roughly your take-home amount will be around £2,200 a month. That's your take-home. Okay, and in the US, the median salary is around $59,000 a year. Let me know in the comment section if I've got this wrong. Okay, it would be good to get some confirmation from you guys. Okay, so after federal state taxes, that's about $3,600 to about $3,800 a month for you to take home. So that's the money people actually live on. Okay, and I know I've been there, right? And a lot of you guys are probably at this stage. So let me know in the comment section if I'm, if these are some realistic numbers that I'm calling out. So no, most people don't have thousands to spare to invest every month. Absolutely understand that. Okay, and so what can a 50 plus person realistically invest? Right, there, invest. Not sure whether you can see it. Let me put myself smaller. Okay. So if you're earning around the median and paying for a lot of stuff like your housing, food, bills, family expenses, yada, 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 right? Realistically, for you to have something free up at the end of the month, will be, well, at least in the UK, will be about £200 to £300 per month for investment. In the US, might be around $200 to $400 per month for investment. Okay, so it's slow, calm, sustainable, right? Ongoingly on a monthly basis. You have this amount of money for invest. Okay, that's important. That's important to recognize that, right? So go back, do some calculation, and I mean, you don't have to let me know in the comment section. I always say that, but realistically, ask yourself, can you actually get their numbers out? Okay. Now let's do the maths. So 2 scenarios. I'll show you 2 cases, and let's not move on yet. So not prediction, just ways of thinking, right? But I have to make some assumption here and assume that you are in your 50 years of age, and then you do have the intention to work until the age of 65, right? So essentially, you still have about 15 years left, okay, of your working life, right? And you invest £250 or $300 per month, right? So that would gives you, in the UK, at least £45,000 invested in the UK, or in the US, that would be around $54,000 invested in the US over a span of 15 years, right? That's something you are putting aside, right? £45,000 in the UK, $54,000 in the US. Okay, so like scenario. Okay, so scenario one. So imagine if you put everything into Bitcoin, right? Assuming, right? So scenario 1, I'm thinking this would be more of a base case where I'm using lower return for projection, estimation. So it's kind of like a planning case. Okay, so this is the boring but responsible model, I would deem this. Okay, so if Bitcoin averages something like 8 to 12% for the long term per annum, okay, essentially your £45,000 in the UK could roughly get into about £120,000 to about £180,000. Whereas in the US, right, total 15 years of, accumulation on Bitcoin, right? If based on 8% to 12%, which I think it's definitely, for Bitcoin, definitely should be higher, right? Could grow into roughly $150,000 to about $220, right? That won't make you rich, guys, right? But now think about retirement. Because by the time when you get into your retirement age, there should be some pensions too, right? So what pension actually gives you in the UK, I'm kind of expecting in the UK, our UK state pension is about £960 per month, okay? So enough to survive, but not enough to really be comfortable, I would say. Whereas in the US Social Security is around $1,800 to about $1,200 per month. Again, basic living, not at all comfortable. Okay, now imagine Bitcoin with this is what I'm telling you, with this, the additional top out, right? So at least in the UK, that can easily gives you additional £400 to £600 extra per month in the UK, right? In the US, easily it can get you about $500 to about $700 extra. Okay, I think the extra is good enough. That's heating bills covered, food inflation covered, and it somehow reduces a lot of stress. Okay, so that's the base case, right? However, I want to be slightly more bullish, right? Because the more bullish case will be 30% CAGR based on the Bitcoin Thesis. And I think somehow this bullish case, it's actually a more realistic case for many of us, right? Some people, including Michael Saylor from Strategy, argue that Bitcoin could compound closer to about 30% per year over long periods. Okay, so of course this will never be guaranteed. But it's optimistic. I do believe that, right? Based on the scarcity, based on global adoption, based on 21 million cap supply and a monetary network, not a company. If, and it's a big if, Bitcoin does compound at 30% CAGR over 15 years, guys. This is big. This is huge. So in the UK, for your £45,000 could essentially become £450,000 to £600,000 in a matter of 15 years. Okay, whereas in the US, 54,000 USD could essentially get you up to about $550,000 to about $750. Okay, guys, this is not a small amount. Okay, what that looks like in your retirement, it will make a huge difference, right? So imagine if you only draw 4% a year, right? In the UK at least, having, let's say, £500,000 times 4%, essentially that would gives you £20,000 a year. Okay, so that will essentially means about £1,650 per month, and on top of your £960 state pension, you get about £2,600 per month in total. Okay, that's pretty good, right? Imagine having that for your retirement. Okay, and in the US, if I simply just take the middle figure from between this, $650,000 times 4% drawdown per annum, essentially you'll be getting $26,000 a year, right? So that equates to about $2,150 per month. So plus your Social Security, which we initially calculated around $4,000 per month, it's what you'll be getting in total, right? Of course, guys, it's not luxury. Okay, you're not gonna turn into a millionaire or billionaire, but this is still one of the best asset out there right now that returns the best CAGR. Okay, so guys, I mean, this is so important for you guys to recognize this. If you do buy in any of the index funds, right, probably you won't get to any of such figures if you are in your 50s and then you are investing just purely based on your median kind of salary. Okay, so take note of that, guys. But of course, need to caveat all of this. It does come with some caveat and warning, right? 30% CAGR does not come that smoothly. Okay, it comes with 50%, 60% Bitcoin drawdown, especially during the bear market, right? Sometimes, you go through very, very boring phase, a bit like from November until now, you can definitely see Bitcoin's not really moving. It's not really trending upwards. It's essentially just, consolidating, right? Consolidation phase, right? And sometimes, of course, it does have that emotional pressure, right? So if you're in your 40s and you somehow saw the price readjusting, drop down by 50%, and somehow you panic sell, right? that's not going to be good, right? This essentially panic selling will cause the whole plan to collapse. So that's why you need to plan with the base case, but understand the opportunity of the potential upside that potentially you can get, right? And stay the course, right? And stay up to date with the whole Bitcoin situation. Of course, in my compound life, I do talk about any other assets apart from just Bitcoin, right? I think it's also important to promote the fact that you need to diversify your investment a little bit. But of course, guys, if looking at this specific gentleman's situation, he's in his 50s, doesn't really have too much saving up, and he wanted a more comfortable retirement, I still think that's doable. And of course, with Bitcoin, the return will definitely be much more than any of the asset class out there in the market. Okay, so that's my point of view. Let me know in the comment section if you kind of, agreed, disagreed. It's always good to get some feedback specifically on, because I also want to have different opinions so that I can be a better investors in the longer run, especially now I'm going through that phase too. Okay, but before I kind of finish the video off, I just want to call out a few more things, right? If you're in your 50s, right, thinking of your future, thinking about retirement, planning ahead, it's so important, right? But also you need to take into consideration about security, right? Security of how do you manage, store your assets, etc., etc. Because while we're talking about Bitcoin, okay, it's not going to be a physical gold bar that you can stash that off somewhere in a bank in a safe deposit box, right? It's highly critical. So scammers will be out there targeting older investors, right? With all them scam calls, scam emails, etc., right? So there'll always be fake exchanges. I've seen some friend being scammed into downloading an exchange, a reputable exchange, right? But somehow they've downloaded what it seemed like a reputable exchange, but it's not. It's actually being controlled by the scammers, right? So be careful where you guys are downloading the apps, the exchanges. Always go to the official website. Okay, there will always be fake advisors, right? So never ever trust anyone on the internet. Okay, and by the way, I'll never ask you guys on private messages or on the comment section to ask you to join Telegram, etc., because I don't have any Telegram group. In the short term, I do not have any intention of starting Telegram or WhatsApp group, yada, yada, yada. So be very, very, very careful. Okay. And I also recognize that in the comment section, I do have some spammers that comes in to talk about certain tokens. So please be mindful, right? I do not endorse any of that. Okay. And of course, fake emails, just be very, very careful in clicking on links, right? If in doubt, don't click on the link. Go to the official website. Go in, log in from there. Okay, never ever click on links, right? There are too many phishing links out there. And of course, guaranteed returns. Okay, so I made a video about Bitcoin. Is it a Ponzi, right? So Bitcoin never gives you guaranteed return, right? So it's not Ponzi. It's all based on supply and demand. And from what I can see, from what I can recognize, the fact that the demand out there for Bitcoin now is outstripping supply. Okay, so that's why Bitcoin price will continue to go up, and it will continue to grow aggressively because of halving event for Bitcoin, etc., right? So be mindful of that. Never trust high guarantee returns because they're usually fakes, right? So yes, I think some rules. No one ever needs your seed phrase. Do not send your seed phrases out. No legit investment guarantees profit, right? Although I talk about Bitcoin will go higher, but it's never guaranteed, right? There's no central entity that can guarantee that. It's all come down to supply and demand. Okay. Yeah, and usually scammer would just gives you a lot of pressure to, try to scam you off. So move slowly, verify everything. That's the most important thing that you need to recognize. So some final thoughts, guys. This is the truth. If you're in your 50s and asking this question, you're not too late, right? None of us are, okay? That means you're awake. You want to plan ahead for your retirement. So good on every one of you, right? Very, very good, okay? And of course, Bitcoin won't replace your pension, but it can protect our future, protect our future self. Okay, so plan conservatively, understand the upside potential. And yeah, I think anything starts small, right? Get onto the dollar cost average, pound cost average, and start building your assets, right? Yeah, start building Bitcoin, start stacking sats, start stacking Bitcoin, build a good habits, make sure whatever that you've got saved up on a monthly basis, it gets into the investment, right? It gets into Bitcoin. This is how you build freedom. That should really be financial freedom, time freedom for you, me, and anyone else that watches my video, even at the age 50 plus. Okay, so if you like my video, please drop a like, hit subscribe. Let me know who you are in the comment section. It's always great to, hear from all of you guys. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.